Hello everyone, konnichiwa. How are you guys doing? My name's Arno, and welcome to the last lesson about the Kana. Now, we've already had the Hiragana, we've already had the Katakana, we've already seen when both systems are used, and I'm going to close the Hiragana and Katakana part of the lessons by telling you the last couple of things you really need to know before you can get started, and before you can write every single word in Hiragana and Katakana. But first, I'd like to ask you, how are your studies going? Are you actually studying the Hiragana and Katakana? If so, then how is it going? Please tell me your experience of all this, as I would like to help you learn Japanese. And of course we have to start at the basics, and we have to start with the boring stuff perhaps, but once you finish the Hiragana and Katakana, things will get a lot more fun, and I'm actually really looking forward to the next couple of lessons in which I'm going to explain to you the very basics of the Japanese sentence, and that's going to be a lot of fun, hopefully. I'm going to come with a lot of exercises as well. Anyway, now I'm going to tell you the last couple of things about Hiragana and Katakana. So by now you already know the Hiragana symbols, the Katakana symbols, and also how to pronounce them, most likely. So a, I, U, E, O, kakiku, keko, gagigu, gego, etc., etc. But you may actually know a couple of Japanese words that are very frequently used. I mean, they're basic vocabulary, but they actually have some sounds that you don't know how to make yet, such as words like Kyoto and Tokyo, Tokyu, these kinds of words. I'm going to explain you how to melt two symbols together and create kyo, mu, mya. I'm just scratching the surface of my brain right now, but I'm going to show you how to make these sounds as well. It's really easy actually, but it does require a little bit of getting used to. So how do you do this? These sounds are written the following way. So if you look at it right now, you can see that there is a tendency. So you have kya, gya, sha, ja, cha, nya, hya, bya, pya, mya, and rya. Same goes for Q. So you have kya, kyu, kyo, gya, gyu, gyo, sha, shu, sho, Jaju, jo, etc., etc. I'm not going to go over all the pronunciations because I think you already know how to pronounce it. Now, how do you see these things written? So you always have a Hiragana symbol or a Katakana symbol in the I vowel. So it's ki, gi, shi, zi, etc., etc. And then it's always followed by either a ya, a yu, or a yo, and it's a smaller ya, yu, or yo. So you would have ki plus ya is kya, ki plus yu is kyu, shi plus yo is sho, hi plus ya is hya, mi plus yu is mu, etc., etc. So this is basically how you form it. So you basically round off the sort of I katakana, so the first katakana, and then it's followed by a smaller ya, yu, or yo. And that's how you create these sounds. So as you can see, it's really not that hard. Now some practice on the pronunciation, or some more examples would be pi plus yo would be pyo, ni plus yu would be mu, chi plus ya is cha. Okay, so much for that. Now there's one thing I'd like to point out about the pronunciations. So there are no sounds like si or ti. Instead, you've already seen this, you have shi and chi. That's actually how to pronounce it. So it's not si plus ya. That would not be sa, because there is already a sa, actually. But it's actually shi plus ya, and that turns into sha. Sha, shu, sho. Same goes for ji plus ya, yu, yo would be ja, ju, jo. Chi plus ya, yu, yo would be cha, chu, cho, etc., etc. So all the sort of exceptions that I stressed a lot in the previous two videos, yeah, they come back as well. Now that's pretty much it. Now that's one part of the video done. As you can see, it's not really that difficult. I mean, if you already know the Hiragana and Katakana, if you know how to write them, then you pretty much know how to form these symbols now as well. So you just have to write the ya, yu, and yo a little smaller than the preceding Hiragana symbol. Now there are still a couple more sounds which you don't know how to make just yet. These sounds very rarely occur, but if you want to write your name down correctly and not have the pronunciation all messed up because of the Japanese pronunciation, then you can still write your name kind of correctly. I'm talking about names such as Victor. Now all these words are non-native Japanese, obviously, and that's why they're only or mostly written in katakana. If you really want to be special, you can write this down in hiragana, but it's not going to be correct. Foreign words, they always go in katakana, so I'm going to show you the katakana now. Now, what sounds am I talking about? I'm talking about sounds that start with an F, so you already know how to say th. I already went over that sound in the video before, and the video before that. The link to that will be in the description, by the way. If you want to make vowels such as fa, or fi, or fe, or fo, you don't know how to make that yet. So what do you take? First you take the hu katakana symbol, and you add a small a, a small I, a small e, or a small o behind it to make it fa, fi, fu, fe, fo. You cannot pick ya or you or yo because then you would have fya, fyu, fyo, and that's obviously something else. Now, if you want to have the V sound, like Victor, or any other name, my imagination is kind of limited right now. But if you want to write down Victor, then the Japanese would have two different ways of going around this. Either they would say Victor, they would pronounce the V as a B. That actually happens quite a lot. So you have the word love. The Japanese would not really say rav, they would say rabu. Rabureta would be love letter, so that's how they would work their way around the V sound. But if you really want to write it down as a V, then you can write it down as the following way. So first you have to make the V sound, which is basically just the katakana sound with a double apostrophe above it, or a duckten. If you really want to be linguistically correct, then it would be called a duckten. So you take the U and add a duckten behind it, and then you have the V. Now, to make it into va, vi, ve, and vo, you say v plus a would be va. If you add an i, you would get vi. If you add an e, you would get ve. And if you add a small o at the end, then you would get vo. Now, there are still a couple more to go. So if you want to say ti, as in a party, which would be a party, obviously, it's the pronunciation of the English word party, then you would take the katakana te, and you add a small i at the end, so then you would get ti, so as in party. The next one would be che, so you already know how to say chi, you already know how to say cha, I just covered it like 2 minutes ago. You already know how to say chu and cho, but you don't know how to say che just yet, so you can't really write down the name of the revolutionary guy Che Guevara, for example. If you want to write that down, then you have to take the chi katakana symbol, and you add a small e at the end. And then last but not least, you have the W sound. Now, you already know that there is a wa in Hiragana and Katakana, and there's also an o or a wo in Hiragana and Katakana. Now, it's not really pronounced as a wo, but it still counts as a wo. So yes, you have a wa and wo in Katakana and Hiragana. But if you want to say wi, wu, or nwe, then how would you say that? It's actually kind of easy. So there is not really a W sound in Japanese in these cases. So all you do is you just take the Katakana u, and then if you want to turn it into wi, then you would have u followed by a small e. And if you want to have we, then you would just place u followed by a small e sound at the end. As you can see, a lot of these sounds are not formed with ya, yu, and yo. They actually have nothing to do with that. So that's only for the native Japanese sounds like kya, kyu, mu, sho, etc., etc. But for all these others, then it's usually just the vowels, so a, i, u, e, o in katakana at the end, so not ya, yu, and yo. So we're nearly at the end, and I can nearly say that you've fully mastered the hiragana and katakana, but there are still 2 more things I need to explain. I don't think that they'll take that much time anymore, so pretty much I'm going to explain to you now how to double certain consonants. My imagination doesn't go that far, but let's still go over 3 example words to show you how to do it. So the 3 words I'm going to go over are gakko, which means school. You've already seen that word, I think, in the last video. Hassen, which means 8,000. And ropyaku, which means 600. Okay, now how do you do this? As you can see, there is a double K sound in gakko, there's a double S sound in hassen, and there's a double P sound in ropyaku. Now, if I were to write this down in hiragana, as you can see right now, you can see that there is a small tsu hiragana symbol somewhere in the middle of these words. Now, this small tsu is obviously used to double the consonant. Now, how does this work? Basically, you have the sound that is doubled. So in gakko, that would be the ko sound. The K would be doubled. How to do that? You have to add a small tsu in front of the hiragana or katakana symbol that you want to double. So instead of gakko, it is gakko by adding a small tsu hiragana right in front of the hiragana that you want to double. The same story for hassen. In front of the se hiragana symbol, you have a small tsu to double the S sound. And for ropyaku, in front of the P from pya, you have a small tsu hiragana symbol as well. So it's really not that difficult. However, there's one exception that I do have to point out. If you want to double the N sound, so for example, words such as onna and minna, which means everyone, or to show around, annai suru. If you want to double the N sound, you don't add a small tsu in front of it, but you add a hiragana symbol. It's actually quite logical. So instead of writing onna like this with a small tsu, it's actually onna with a hiragana symbol or katakana symbol. It works the same way with hiragana and katakana, so it's not really that difficult. So the main rule is you add a small tsu in front of the hiragana or katakana symbol that you want to double, and with the na, ni, nu, ne, no hiragana and katakana, you add a n hiragana or katakana symbol respectively. So that's pretty much it in terms of doubling the consonants. I think that there's one last thing that I need to point out. Yes, I need to point out how to lengthen these vowels. So you've already noticed that there are a couple of words such as Tokyo, and these words have lengthened vowels. Now, how would you lengthen them? Now, it's actually really not that difficult, but unfortunately there's a difference in how to do it in both hiragana and katakana. Katakana is by far the easiest, so I'll quickly explain that first. If you want to lengthen sounds in katakana and make, for example, the word Victor. Victor is actually the Japanese way of pronouncing the name Victor. If you want to say to, as in lengthen it, then you would have a bi plus ku plus to, and to lengthen the to at the end, then you just have to add a small horizontal stripe. Not a small horizontal stripe, just a long horizontal stripe after it. Then you would lengthen it, so Victor. If you want to turn the sound ku into ku, then you would have to take the katakana ku and again add a long horizontal stripe at the end. If you want to do it with hiragana, it's a little more difficult, but it's still quite easy, so just bear with it, and then I can finally say, omedetou gozaimasu, congratulations! I truly want to get this over with. Okay, so to lengthen vowels in hiragana, it's also quite logical, but instead of putting a horizontal stripe after the sound you want to lengthen, you just have to put the vowel, the hiragana sound again at the end. So if you want to turn ki into ki, then you would have to add another i at the end. So it's ki plus i means ki. The same goes for the sound. So ka plus a is ka from okasa. That means mother. The same goes for the sound. So ku plus is ku. Now here come the final two exceptions, I swear, pinky promise. If you want to lengthen the sounds, then instead of logically putting another at the end, you would have to put an I at the end. That's why sensei is written like this instead of like this. Now, the last one is the O sound. Again, a similar story. Instead of putting another O at the end, if you want to write gakko, it's actually written like so. It's written with an U at the end. Now you know how to lengthen vowels, but there are still a handful of exceptions to this rule. Pretty much every single word will be lengthened like so, but there are still a couple of words, I think that you can count them on one hand by the way, that have a special way of lengthening their vowels. Words such as elder sister, that would be onesan. The ne is lengthened with an e hiragana symbol instead of the I, as I've just explained. Another word that's a common mistake is oki. Oki is an O lengthened with another O again. That's also kind of illogical. Oki actually has a kanji symbol, which we're going to see later. This kanji symbol actually occurs in a couple of city names as well. Hence, these city names have a similar lengthening. So it's Osaka. Osaka. Again, it's the same way of lengthening the O. There are a couple more words like this, but I'm not going to cover all of them. Now, I really owe you an applause if you've stuck with me for this long. Congratulations, you've finally seen everything of the hiragana and katakana. I know it was a long journey, also for me, but now you know how to write every single thing in Japanese. Now, that's kind of an advantage when you want to later on study more Japanese. I'm really looking forward to the next couple of lessons because then we'll actually be able to make words and make sentences and stuff. Okay, now so much for that. What can you find in the description, by the way? You can find a full document to all the theory, which I've explained in the last 3 videos about the hiragana and katakana, and you can study all that on your own if you want to. It's a Google Drive document, so you don't need to sign up for anything. You can just click the link and you can read the document. I made it for you guys, so feel free to use it, definitely. Now, thank you for watching this main part of the video. Hopefully you're still fresh and awake for the vocabulary part, because that's coming right now. For today, I've got some verbs and some adjectives for you guys. Now, it doesn't all need to be nouns. Nouns can be boring, they can be intimidating, and we want to do things with the nouns, or at least I would say that. So for the verbs, you have to study, 勉強する, 勉強する, 勉強する. Now, I want to point out that the O is lengthened at the end, and you have kyo. You don't have ki plus yo, it's kyo. I've explained all these things in this video, actually. The next verb is to exist or to have. Now this only counts for inanimate objects such as a desk or a book or a house. Then you would say aru, aru. To exist for people and animals, so for living things, then you would use the verb iru, iru, iru. To come would be kuru. To buy would be kau, kau, kau. Try not to pronounce it as cow or something. Say cow. Try to pronounce the ka and the u very clearly. To sell would be uru. Uru. Now onwards to the adjectives, you would have good. Good would be e. E. Now it's a lengthened e, so it's 2 e's in a row. Big, I've already explained this like 2 minutes ago, is oki. Oki. Small would be chisai. Chisai. Red. Akai. Akai. Healthy. Genki. Genki. Pretty. Kirei. 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 Okay, so that's it for the vocabulary. Onwards to the last part, in which I'm gonna go over the next 10 hiragana symbols. If you want to learn it at my pace, then I would recommend you to watch this last part. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this lesson. I'm looking forward to the next lesson. Hopefully you guys are as well. If you have any questions or tips, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. See ya! If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to show some support.